Fox News strategic analyst, General Jack Keane. How you doing, sir? And good morning to
Good to see you, Bill.
John Bolton answered every question with Chris Wallace and also on CBS. He believes the meeting will happen. One of the big quibbles right now is where does it happen? But he assured that if Kim gives up his program, it doesn't matter where this meeting takes place, General. What do we need to understand?
Well, that's a fact. I think they're looking at Singapore and Mongolia, and we'll see. Kim Jong-un doesn't like to travel very much, and his big trip was to China, and that's not too far away. But they'll likely agree, certainly, on a place and a time, because these two leaders actually want this to take place. I think the framework, certainly from our position, is very clear. While there's a lot of things to discuss, certainly, U.S. hostages, Japanese abductees, chemical, biological weapons, ballistic missiles, there is one central issue which is foremost on the mind of the United States, and that is complete, verifiable, irreversible denuclearization. That is the central issue. And I think what Kim will likely do, don't know for sure, but he may want to drag this out over a number of years, from freeze to disarm to dismantle, get some economic sanctions, and then if he's playing us, then he's likely to hold on to some of his nuclear weapons at the end. We're not going to buy into that. We will not accept that.
Very interesting point. Let's keep an eye on that. I want to show you a clip of the video from last Friday that I find the most intriguing. Here is a man now sauntering across the border. He's young. He looks entirely comfortable. He clearly has personality, and he's entirely comfortable with who he is. And I don't think the world's ever seen him like that before, General.
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of misinterpretation about Kim Jong-un. One, because of his youth. Two, because of his bellicose nature and some outrageous statements he made about, raining death on America with nuclear weapons. All that irresponsible talk. The CIA has the best profile on this guy. And the director of the CIA, Mr. Pompeo, met with him. And I believe the reason why there's optimism in the White House, and not over-the-charts optimism, certainly cautious optimism, is simply this. Because I think after Pompeo met with him, he came back and told the president, look, I think this guy is serious. And he understands Kim Jong-un better than anybody based on the intelligence the CIA has. I know for a fact, because Pompeo has told me, he believes Kim Jong-un is a rational actor. And so they believe he's moving in the right direction. But they have to have evidence, and that evidence is not going to be there until we actually get into the meeting. But look at all the steps that he is taking to convince us that this is real. Certainly the meeting with Mr. Moon, from the president of South Korea, the desire to end the war. Just recently, over this weekend, he said, look, the inspectors can come in May and take a look at my closed nuclear test site if they want to. So he's trying to lay one shoe after another to make certain that the United States understands, I'm serious.
Yeah. Does that facility in the north even work? I know what he said, but I don't know what they're going to find when they get there. The point you make is very important, I think, for our viewers as we go through this process. That isn't going to last a month, General. This is going to go on for months, if not years. You would agree with that, correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
As we watch that process, is he given a little in order to feed his people and get the trade sanctions lifted just a little bit at a time, where he preserves ultimately a piece, be it small or large, of his own nuclear program for himself as a bargaining chip down the road? Otherwise, I don't know how much of this even makes sense for a guy who's lived his life to build this nuclear program just to surrender it and give it up. Last word on that, General.
That certainly could be his strategy, to drag this out, hold on to some capability at the end, get something back. The United States isn't going to buy that. We're going to want to go very quickly, freeze, disarm, dismantle, and do that at best over a year and a half to 2 years.
Well, they changed the clocks, too, in North Korea. They were a half hour behind. Now they're the same time as Seoul, South Korea. That's a start. Thank you, sir, for your time today. Talk again real soon.